love as she walks upstage to motivate us today. Can I see everybody up on your feet?
Highly spiritual.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. It's very impressive to be here. And I must say, yes. Yeah, round of applause for yourselves. Thank you so much. It's going to be so tough to speak after such a good preacher as Sam George, to come just after Becca, who improvised and yet made a wonderful performance, and to come just after Kobiche. I mean, what a surprise. But this is Ghana. You have this incredible ability of speaking to people's heart and to raise emotions. Ghana Fo, thank you so much. So my manager told me to start with Ghana Fo. Mohoti Sain. I got that right. When I was asked to come to speak to you, and the title has youth in it, I wondered, why me? I mean, youth, my youth is way behind me. And what on earth can I tell them that they don't already know? When I arrived in Ghana as an ambassador in 2018, already 3 years and a half ago, time flies so quickly. One of the first things I realized was that the most precious resource in Ghana is the people, 60% of which are young people. And that is something, for a foreigner's eye, that is quite an amazement. But you could say, yeah, you've got young people, they're going to school, but you're not usual young people. You are full of dynamism, enthusiasm, creativity, generosity. You can dance, you can sing, you can draw, you can design. You've got so much in you, so much talent. Because you are here and surrounded by people who, just like you, have so much talent, you don't seem to realize that you are one of the kind. You are very special. And one of the reasons why I'm trying to support creative arts, creative industry, put Ghana to the world, is that I strongly believe that you have these incredible talents that you should display to the world. But once we have, yeah, yes, please. Oh gosh, I lost it. Yes, but once I have said that, I've been in Ghana for like 3 years and a half, and I've always grabbed every occasion to meet with young people. Actually, it would be much more difficult to meet with old people. You don't have that many in this country. So you are either young or young at heart, but I haven't met many old people. I come from an old country of an old continent, and in my country, people are the average rather closer to 40, 50, I like to think, rather than youngsters. We don't have so many children, so the demographics is more an elderly. And our challenge is how to take care of our elderly. Here, the challenge is how to get this youth thrive. Well, I don't really know if there's a recipe, and certainly what I have been through in my youth in the 1970s, so it seems like last century, it is last century, whatever worked for me in the 1970s may not work for this generation, because everything has changed. When I was your age, we didn't have mobile phones. So you may wonder, how did we do? So we were queuing for a telephone booth on the street, and then we were using coins, and we were making a phone call, looking a bit ridiculous in that transparent thing. Or we would rush back home and use the landline. And then the parents would say, it's costly, hang up. So we had to keep it short. But we were still the same. As soon as we had left our friends from school, we felt the urgent need to call them because we still had something to tell them. So we were literally on the phone. When I was quite young, TV wasn't black and white. We didn't have color. We didn't have internet. There was no social media. How did we do? Well, we used to gather in cafes, bars, and talk and get together. But the friends we had, they were only those who lived in the neighborhood. Now, with all those new means, we are able to have friends all over the world. But we are also able to see what happens around the world. So sometimes we look at it, very envious. And we tend to think, because we all do that. When we publish something on social media, we try and look good, right? So we try to post whatever makes us look good. Whatever, if we travel or if we go to some places, we will post photos of the place of what looks the best, so that people say, yeah, wow, she's lucky, she's been there. We will never post how the kind of hurdles we've been through. We will never advocate for that. So that's what the foreign countries do as well. So when we advocate for France, we want to attract tourists. When we advocate for Europe, we want to look good. So what we are posting is always nicer than the actual reality. And some young people tend to think that the grass may be greener out there. And quite a few come to me and say, oh, I hope, I wish I would go to France. I could emigrate to France. Listen, the future is here. In France, everything is already set. The level of unemployment is very high, so if you think that you can turn up and find a job, you're probably wrong. Here, everything is to be done. I am now older, and I have lived the 1970s. And the feel I have here in Ghana is the same as the one I had in the 1970s, when we had this impression that everything was possible. We were, in France, in Belgium, building Europe. And we had this hope and enthusiasm. The growth rates, the unemployment was getting better. People were building a new world 30 years after the Second World War. And this feeling that everything is possible, that everything is handy, that I am witnessing a page of history of this country thriving. Of course, maybe not quick enough for you, but you can see it. Well, this is the feeling I have when I am here. It's a very exciting moment that we are living, which means that it is in your hands. I usually say this is your world, shape it or someone else will. But yes, it is in your hands. If you are here, it's because you are lucky enough to go to school and to have education. And indeed, it is highly important to have an education, to go to university, to go to school. And I went back to school when I was 30-something, 33 or 34, and I enjoyed it so much. Because when you have to go to school, because it's compulsory, you do not appreciate as much as you do when you really struggle to go back to school. So enjoy every moment, because everything that you are learning, that people are coming to teach you, they are bringing this knowledge on a tray. And then when you get to the real life, working, you're actually spending this knowledge, but you're not getting as much as you get when you are sitting there and sharing and getting whatever these people are coming to share with you. Yet, once you have your degree, certificate, you will join the professional life and you will learn different things. You might be a bit disappointed sometimes because what you learned at school don't completely match what you see on the ground. But it's a different way of learning. But then it's an active way of learning. You will learn if you want to, and you will learn if you do. What I have noticed here, yes, you have an amazing youth, amazing talents, And that is very, very impressive. If I think of, well, Kobiche, to begin with, as a blogger, I think he's not only a fantastic musician, which I have just discovered, but also has chosen a path of blogging, making it thinking, intelligent blogging, and I very fully support that. So it may be difficult because it's much easier to blog about gossips and to blog about things that are, you know, attractive to people, easy thinking. He has chosen a more difficult path, that is bringing some knowledge, talking about the history of Ghana, giving food for thought. It may be more difficult in the beginning, but I think it's going to pay in the long run. I also have had the chance to meet many of your very young artists. You may remember, if you follow me on some social media, that I wanted to meet with Kwame Eugene. Do you know Kwame Eugene? Does that ring a bell? Okay. Why did I want to meet him? Well, of course, I like his creative art, and I like what he does, and I was very fond of one song he did with Sark, Codier. But not only. This young man is 25. When I met him, he was 24 going on 25. His birthday was on the next day, which is the age of my youngest daughter. And when I see what he has achieved when he started aged on 19, and the background he has, where he comes from, he is an inspiration. I'm not so much. He is, like many, many young Ghanaians. So let's clap for him. And my papers. Yeah. So from what I have seen around in Ghana, I want to share a few things. The first thing would be, we all want to thrive and be entrepreneurs or become filthy rich and succeed in life. Me too, I'm still struggling and I'm 53, so you see, it can take a long time. However, I don't think that you can become fantastically famous, rich, or successful overnight. You have to begin small. You have to begin with your surroundings. Whatever you can do, you have to show your family, your friends, and begin small. Why am I saying that? You know that France has programs to support SMEs, and I get a lot of people who come to us and who say, okay, I've got a brilliant idea. I have created this device or engineered this thing, and I want to sell it, and I want to produce it in large scale. So all I need is $1 million to start with. So we usually say, okay, but have you already sold a few? Have you already tried? What is your market going to be? Have you set your price? Have you set your marketing? Do you know your communication? Say, no, but the idea is brilliant, I know. I need $1 million. Give me $1 million and I will make it happen. This is not gonna happen. You have to try. If you think that you have produced the most amazing machine, make a prototype, see if it works, see if you can sell it, see if you have orders, build another one. And that's how slowly someone will spot you and say, wow, you've done all that by yourself. I'm ready to invest, maybe not $1 million, but a bit of money into it. I usually gave the example of a French company called Nicolas, but I have met someone here in Ghana whose story is pretty much the same. The story of Nicolas is a wine shop that you find at every single corner in France and Europe. Every street, every corner, you have this wine shop where you can buy wine and alcohol. The way he started, he bought with a little of savings. He bought one bottle one day, and then he sold it with a bit of profit. And he did it again, bought another one, and sold it. And with the bit of profit that he had, he eventually bought a second bottle. So he bought 2 and sold them and made a bit more profit, and so on, until he could buy 10, 100, 1,000, open his first shop, and make it a franchise, and have now shops everywhere. Begin small. And I have, yes, And I have met someone here in Ghana who, his name is Anthony Jawale. I know I certainly butcher his name. He loved watches and technique. So he started fixing watches, and he got paid to fix watches, broken watches. People would bring watches to him, and he would fix them. And by doing so, he learned about the mechanism. And he could see the mechanism of very expensive watches, but where the weaknesses were and how it worked. And slowly, he thought, but why? Why do I not produce my own? Because he sold some as well. So he has learned from that how they work, how to make one, and what kind of design, what kind of model people would like. And he launched his own brand. This is called Caveman Watch, and I'm very proud that I bought one of his. He really deserves a round of applause, and I hope that one day he can come to talk to you. Another thing I've noticed is that sometimes you do things, but you do not know the value of it. I've seen many designers and people who do things even on the street, carpenters, and they do things that blow my mind away. It's just amazing, but they don't know the value of it. So you go and say, how much is it? And when they tell you the price, you've got to be kidding. It's 10 times more than what you're saying. In the north, ladies are making baskets, beautiful baskets. They're doing it by hand. And they sell them for like 20, 50 cedis. But some companies from Europe, they're coming, they buy bunches of them, and they sell them for 120 euros. You need to know the value of what you're selling, because these ladies, instead of selling these for 50 cedis, they could ask 100, 200. Of course, their calculation is, okay, that pays for the raw material and a bit of my time. But the price you make for what you do is not how much it costed you, but how much the market's ready to pay for it. So you need to know the value of what you're doing. I'll give you another example. I have this house in Pram Pram because I'm a constituent of St. George. And I have a caretaker because I cannot be there on a weekly basis. I actually have a job that keeps me in Accra a lot. And this caretaker one day came to me and he says, my father's house is breaking down. Could you lend me 500 cedis? And I said, okay, so if I lend you 500 cedis, how are you going to pay back? Because you don't make that much money. So if I take out of your salary 100 cedi a month, what's going to be left for you? So I said, I've got a better idea. I need my house to be repainted because of the sea breeze. The paint is getting damaged very quickly. If you repaint the facade of the house, I will give you 500 cedis. And he had no idea. He was ready to do the painting without asking for nothing. And on the other hand, he wanted to ask me to lend him 500 cedis. He didn't connect the fact that if he did some extra work for me, he could be extra paid for it. And it's important to know the value of the kind of service that you are providing. Another thing is, sometimes I receive people who are sending me applications or writing or DMing me, and they're saying, oh, I can do anything. Please give me a job. I could do anything. I can be a driver. I could be a secretary. I could be a desk officer. I could be a cook. I could do anything. Well, first of all, this is not credible. Much as talented you can be, no one can do everything. It's not possible. So you have to focus on one or two that you can do. Then when you do one thing good, like you're a good blogger, you can also be a good saxophonist. Or like when you are a great singer, you can also be a great manager. An entrepreneur. But when you start, just chase one rabbit at a time. So it's not the point saying, I can do this, I can do that. Do it. Let me tell you how I hired my wonderful manager. Where is he? DBJ, where are you? Okay, he's hiding. Oh, here he is, DBJ. DBJ is also very, very young. He's 24. Yes, you are. Well, DBJ was literally sitting on me all the time, telling me, you should post this, you should do that, you shouldn't put these pictures, you should have this kind of caption. Eventually I said, okay, if you know better, why don't you become my manager? And that's how. So just don't beg. Don't go and say, oh, I can do this, please give me a job. No, just show what you can do and people will notice you. That's also the way I hired my former press attaché. I noticed her on social media and I headhunted her. So do things. There's one thing you should never do, is stay at home, not doing anything. In France, we have this say, a dummy walking goes always further than an intellectual remaining seated. So get going. Even if you do little, just get going. And the last thing I also wanted to share two things. I want to thank my dear friend Becca for being here. She is an amazing artist, as you've noticed, but there's something that you may not know, is that she's a humanitarian and an entrepreneur. And she has this spa. That I love the service of the spa, but what strikes me the most is not the quality of the massage, which indeed is fantastic, but it's the way she treats her staff. The way they are well, comfortably installed. They are not kneeling on the floor to take care of you. They have nice seats. So the attention she has for her staff, that tells a lot about what kind of a manager she is. And that's very important, because when you get started, you think that you are staff and you're not yet a manager. But never forget that you always have to treat well and be respectful for the people who are working for you. Because these people, they can't say anything, you're the boss. So if you want to be harsh, if you want to flex muscles, do it with the ones above, not with the ones underneath. Thank you. And the last thing, some of you know that one of my very good friends is Stoneboy, and he told me a story. You are right. He told me a story once that and I'm very much admiring him for that, and many of your artists, because they are giving back to the community. And he told me this story that he was in his car, and then at a crossroad, at a traffic light, he saw these guys who recognized him and wanted to sell something to him, and he didn't have a smaller note than 50 cedis, and he was giving the guys 50 cedis, and another guy was begging and coming, and he was giving 50 cedis. And I said, well, this is great, but then how does this help them? Because next time you will find them at the same crossroads begging for the same 50 cedis. So sometimes, if you are lucky that someone is actually giving you 50 cedis, if I were you, I wouldn't spend them. I would frame them to always remember that these 50 cedis, they were worked hard for by the person who gave them to you. And in honor, to honor, as a tribute to that person, work hard in your turn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anne. We'll take a question. So if we have anybody in the audience who was okay, just one question, please. Just one.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. I'm Nick Lotti. And please, I would like to share. I would like to tell you my story. So, please, please, it's just short. Yes, please. So, in 2020, Mom advised me to write SAT and fly out and go to Canada and go and study there. But I work with my dad. My dad is a spare parts dealer. We deal in car AC parts. And I decided to stay with him with a view of being an entrepreneur. And I realized that there's much opportunity there. Now, with regards to spare parts, it pains me a lot when we come to Ghana. You look at the Lebanese, you look at Samer Engineering, you look at AutoFast. They are in charge of all the spare parts in this country. The normal burgers will just go and buy from them and come and sell to us. So on this very great occasion, I'm begging you, please, if there's any opportunity you can give to me to get access to any of these suppliers. We talk of Value. I don't know if you know Value. Value is a French company which produces car AC parts. We buy a lot of car AC compressors from them. I've been talking to my dad that we can't continue to just buy, bring it in, and sell. You have to change the narrative. You have to move from this low scale and stop buying from the Lebanese.
Listen,
they come and they quote prices.
So, what do you need? A question
Please,
or
just an opportunity. Just an
I'm not sure I
opportunity.
can hear you. I've heard part of it. If someone, can you
Just
just
an
whisper
opportunity.
to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe.
Any other questions or?
Okay, get up. Yeah, say. Microphone, please. Yeah, let's take this one. Okay, I'm going to give you the opportunity to meet the. Okay, after the first session. Thank you. Very good. That's it. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency,
I can't hear.
Your Excellency, I'm moved by your message.
You'll need to
And
speak up a bit, please.
Thank you. I'm
She
saying
can't
that
hear.
her message has moved me a lot. And my question is rooted in the national youth. My question is rooted in the national youth policy. And section 9.3 of the policy says, this policy acknowledges the depth of support and collaboration received in the past from international development partners and development agencies in national development and youth empowerment programs. And the last bulletin says that international agencies can create opportunities for young people to explore their talent and also invest in technical support. Your Excellency, please, on the basis of this contesting the youth policy, how can you create an opportunity for me to partner with your embassy and extend services to the rural areas to young people who did not get opportunity to hear this conference? Thank you very much.
Okay. Did you hear what I said before? You have to create your own opportunities for you. You want to work for Valeo, right? You want to work for spare parts. Have you already worked for a mechanics? Have you offered your services to a mechanics to work in a garage? Have you done something for yourself that eventually Valeo will notice? Or when you send your curriculum to Valeo, you have something to explain and to speak for you. Have you?
Please, my dad, we are actually dealers in the sale of car AC parts. So it's not that you are now going to work. The idea is not to work for them, but have any dealings with any suppliers there, so that we can have that business relationship. And this is not a startup. This is already a business which has been there, existing over 10 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so to connect with French companies, there's something called the Chamber of Commerce. So you can contact the French Ghanaian Chamber of Commerce, and that's their job to put businesses connected between France and Ghana. The other question was about embassy creating opportunities. That's not the role of an embassy to create jobs for. We are supporting companies that create jobs. We are funding projects that create jobs, but we cannot create jobs for just one person. We do hire sometimes local people. We've got quite a lot of them, actually. My accountant, she's Ghanaian. My press attaché was Ghanaian. The new one's different. But you see, so we do have opportunities, but an embassy is like 30 people. What matters is to create opportunities and jobs for 30 million. So we are supporting SMEs, we are funding projects, associations, because it needs to create jobs for much more than just one person. So what we did, for instance, in Murugu was creating was actually, that's a very good example. We didn't create it from scratch. Women were there. They were picking shea nuts, and they were selling shea nuts. So we have just helped them to create a factory so that what they were doing was picking shea nuts, storing shea nuts, transforming into shea butter, and selling it as shea butter. So then, because we had a whole value chain, not only were not only 5 women working, but 50, and their revenue was also multiplied by 5. So begin small and grow, and people will help you if you start helping yourself.
Thank you so much, Anne. We are super grateful. That's it. Anne is the French ambassador to Ghana, and Sophie Harvey. Thank you so much. We are super grateful for imparting knowledge on us today. Thank you.